land nav, medical, weapons, and more. Welcome to Civilian Principles.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Civilian Principles. My name is Will and today we're going to be going over Low Vis and Covert Loadouts. Now before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. At the time of filming this, we had just hit the 350 subscriber mark. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but to me that is. We're able to push a lot more information out to a lot more people. So again, thank you guys for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed and you're watching this, go ahead, just like, subscribe. That way we can push this information out to the masses. Again, everything I believe that we teach, not only one do I believe in, but two, I believe everyone should have it. It should be public knowledge, public information, because everyone in this country should have the right to defend themselves with every way possible. And I don't believe that information should be gatekept by this community. I think this community is great, but I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of information that they just aren't pushing out, and I think they should. So first things first, what is a low vis or covert loadout? Now this is going to be different from your EDC or your everyday carry. A low vis or covert loadout is going to be something purpose driven, right? Again, the difference between EDC and this, it's pretty drastic. I'm going to want to have things that are going to help me possibly make moves in silence.
What's up, bro? How you been?
Bro, you know how it is making moves in silence.
What moves? What's up?
No, you say you're making moves in silence. I mean, I just don't see any evidence of that.
Yeah, because they're silent.
Okay, granted, the moves might be silent.
Or do what I need to do without being spotted, right? And again, the whole point of this covert loadout is I can carry a rifle with me. I can wear body armor if I need to. I can have a chest rig accessible. I have all these things on my person, but I'm not sticking out like a sore thumb. Now, I got it. People in the comments are going to say I could spot a dude wearing a plate carrier from a mile away. I can too, right? If you do this well enough, it's going to be a lot harder for people to see you. You're not invisible, right? You're not a complete gray man. You're not stealth, whatever. If you do this correctly, you should be able to at least fly under the radar as best as possible, right? You're not attracting attention to yourself. And that comes with everything with the gear, right? What are you wearing? What colors are you wearing? Are you wearing 511 tactical jeans and, some tactical t-shirt with patches on it? Whatever the case is, right? You want to make sure that you are blending into your environment so you can move freely without worrying about, did that person make me? Did that person see me? Whatever the case is. If you have to get to this sort of loadout where I need to put this on, shit's gotten real bad. We see it in movies all the time. Something happens and certain factions are taking over, and we see that across the world. We see it a lot in the Middle East where the government's collapsed and different members of these terrorist organizations are running certain parts of the city. The same thing could happen if the U.S. ended up collapsing or we had an invading force. Different states are going to want to do different things. Different people are going to want to do different things. So if you're sticking out like a sore thumb against what they're looking for, you're probably not going to last that long. If someone makes you or spots you first, 9 times out of 10, you're not making it. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to be as covert as possible or you think you're covert and, whatever it is, they spot you or that hostile force makes you, if they see you first and you think you're still being stealthy, that's just the advantage on them to maybe open fire on you or detain you or whatever it is, right? But if they're making you first, if they're even able to point you out of a crowd because you're not blending in at all, you're going to lose that fight. And then if it's initiated with gunfire, you're really losing that fight. You're not going to have that time to respond as quick as you probably should. Getting into what you should have, I'm going to talk about clothing last. And I'm only going to talk about clothing last because these are things that I believe you should have with you if you're doing some sort of covert or low vis stuff. And then the clothing kind of comes after, right? Your gear can stay the same for a covert loadout or a covert mission, depending on your environment, depending on the weather, depending on the people, the culture, whatever it is, right? That can constantly change, but your gear may or may not. And don't take that as what I'm telling you, you need to have it all the fucking time. Don't change out what gear you want. Don't change out what might make the mission a little better. If you go into something and you're like, maybe if I'm wearing this plate carrier or this soft armor, it's going to bulk out too much. I might need to drop that, but I have a shirt that's a size bigger, so I can maybe wear a chest rig under that to sustain. Whatever it is, right? That's on you to figure out. I'm just going to give you those ideas so you can start thinking and building a list out for what you imagine you could use this for. And again, you don't need to use this if you don't want to. This is just for the people who believe that the environment they're in would benefit from them having a covert loadout if something is to happen, for them to be able to move freely through an urban environment and get out without being spotted while still having their proper equipment and gear to facilitate themselves and others. Now I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible just because I don't want this to be a 40-minute video. The next 2 weeks it should be 20 to 30-minute videos. So just bear with me. I'm not going to shotgun information at you, but if it's not as long as you like, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to keep these a little shorter. The first thing we're going to talk about is having armor, right? And in that category of armor, I'm going to talk about soft armor first. So there's two real ways you can go about this. One, you can just run a soft armor vest, right? Typically, you'll see police forces using some sort of one all-encompassing soft armor system. And what I mean by that is it's a vest that you put on, you Velcro to yourself, and that's it. It's all soft armor. That's really good. If you just want a one-and-done system, you don't have to kind of worry about it. But those can start to get a little pricey. I was pricing everything out, and the cheapest thing I could find was Safeline Defense, and it's their Concealable vest, and that's starting out at about $600. So again, when you start to add in armor to anything, the price is going to skyrocket, but that's also because, one, buying quality armor matters, but two, my life is worth a lot more than this armor to me than it is to anyone else. So I'm going to want to make sure I have the best. And quite frankly, I don't have a lot of experience with Safeline. We've shot at some Safeline vests before, some of their armor. It held up pretty well, but I haven't actually had to run it myself. So extract whatever you can from this information and maybe do a little bit of that research looking into what vests work for you. If you're law enforcement or you've had that experience where you had to wear soft armor, go ahead and go in the comments and help these people out, right? Because there's some things that I'm going to fall short on that I want you guys to be able to pick up. Or maybe I have a bad idea or a bad take on something. You guys couldn't go in there and give your constructive criticism or your opinion on, hey, I didn't like how you said that, but here's how I did it. You know, and then someone can look at both options and see, do I want to listen to this guy, let me investigate, let me do some research, and then you might find the best option for you might not be either one of us. By all means, again, I'm not recommending Safeline just because I haven't used it. I have shot it. It seems to do its job, but I haven't had to wear it. I haven't had to be stuck in it for hours a day. So I don't know the Safeline soft armor vest portion of this. And in soft armor, right, then you have something like soft armor plates. It looks like a plate backer. They can be run standalone. They can be run in conjunction with a hard plate, a ESAPI, a HESCO, whatever it is. You can run it on its own. You can shove it right into some sort of plate carrier if you want. You can throw it in between, I don't know, a fishing vest or something. You can duct tape it to yourself, glue it. I don't care, right? But there are those options where it's shaped like a normal ballistic plate. It'll have, you can order ones that have side plates on them as well, whatever it is. Pricing that out, I was finding it to be about anywhere from the cheapest side I could see it was $79. The most expensive I could see it was about $300. That's on you to figure out what you need, what leveled rating you want, all that good stuff. I'm going to recommend level 3A body armor. That's going to stop most pistol caliber cartridges, and it's going to stop a lot of shotgun rounds. 3A isn't rated for rifle. That's where 3, 3+, and 4 start to come in, right? And I'll put a chart up here so you can kind of see it. 3A is going to stop a lot of pistol caliber rounds, and if you want just soft armor, just understand that you are risking someone using a rifle against you and your body armor not being effective or as effective as it could be. So again, understanding your environment, what's being used to commit crime a lot there, and what you see people owning when you go to the firing range and all that sort of stuff, that's going to dictate what kind of body armor you should have, or what's your need for it and what exactly do you want to do with it. But level 4 is like your top tier. Here's what you're going to want. You know, I've seen level 4 stop a lot of shit. I've seen it stop AK. I've seen it stop 5.56. I've seen it stop a good amount of stuff. So my experience comes with a lot of level 4 recommendations, specifically the ESAPI or the XSAPI. The ESAPI can stop a ton of rounds, right? And again, I'll put that chart up again so you can look at it because I don't know every single round off the top of my head. And then XSAPI is supposed to be one above that. I want to say it's either one hit or multiple hits of 7.62 by 54R. That's a bigger cartridge. So again, understanding what you might be going up against is crucial to how you plan out this sort of stuff. But with that, ESAPIs are usually coming in on the used market, $100. At the most, sometimes new, maybe $400 to $500. So price that out, go on eBay, tax swap, your local surplus store, whatever it is, right? You can find ESAPIs anywhere. It just depends on who's selling it. Make sure you look at the inspection dates. If you're buying it used and from someone offline, make sure you use PayPal goods and services. That way, if you get the item and it's either defective or you do a flex test on it, which you're just kind of bending the plate, you're trying to see if you can feel something.
What's wrong with me? Why can't I feel?
It's creaking really bad or twisting. you can use that to return it, and you don't have to worry about losing your money and not being able to get a refund. So use goods and services, please, because I had been scammed before on TaxSwap like a fucking idiot, and I lost about $700 on an item. I don't want to go over it. It makes me really sad. It's depressing. I hate myself for it. But I didn't use goods and services, so I didn't get my refund. So please use goods and services. And outside of the ESAPI thing, right, you can get into HESCOs. The HESCO L210 had a lot of controversy, and I want to say it's because they lost their accreditation. And if I'm wrong, someone put it in the comments, but they lost their NIJ ratings for the L210s, and then they got them back. I think that's what happened. Again, don't quote me on it. I've never had a lot of experience with the L210s, but I have had experiences with the HESCO 4403. I don't know. Why don't they just make it that was coming in right around $234 a plate, and that was like their equivalent to level 4s. I ordered a set, and then I shot an extra one I had purchased, and it stopped everything I was really putting at it within reason. Again, it's not stopping everything. A lot of these are made out of ceramic or some type of poly, whatever the fuck. They seem to be holding up really well. Again, I was running around with this 4403 for about 2 years before I just made the full switch over to ESAPIs. I liked it. It felt really light. It felt comfortable. It wasn't all fucked up. So yeah, again, if you want to get into a plate, ESAPIs in the HESCO series, again, whatever your budget fits, whatever you like from reviews or whatever recommendations your buddies have, or even if it's mine, again, do that little bit of research, look at the reviews if you're buying it new or used, and then make your decision after that. And for the love of God, please don't use steel plates. Like, don't get them. AR-500 is the biggest fucking gimmick out there, and I know we said we weren't going to bash companies. AR-500 is peddling armor that's going to get you fucking killed. They're like, oh, we have this non-spall coating and blah, 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 blah. It's bullshit. It doesn't fucking work. Some carriers for these. The first one, again, I recommended it in my video going over plate carriers, chest rigs, and battle belts, is going to be the Slickster, right? I do like the Slickster when it comes to, I mean, just that, having to have some sort of slick load, some sort of slick carrier, whatever it is. If I need to carry the armor, that's there. If I'm using that soft armor insert, it's not going to be as bulky as I would be having. What is going on with me? If I purchase the Slickster and I'm running soft armor inserts with it, it's not going to be as thick as if it was a plate in there, right? An actual hard ceramic plate or whatever the case is. It's going to be a lot more low profile to my body. I may not have to dress, 1-2 sizes outside of what I normally wear. But again, the Slickster can facilitate you having those front and back soft armor plates. Works the same way with real plates, right? You can shove your level 4s in there, your ESAPIs, whatever it is, and you can be good, right? And it's not thick material. It's thin. I won't say thin, but it's not as thick as like an AVS, but it's going to do the job in keeping you as discreet as it possibly can. The other carrier I wanted to get into was the AC1. Like I said in the video previously, or I don't remember if I actually said it or not, I think about it. No, we talked about it in the podcast. The artist from Task Force Doomer, and I want to say Outrunner, have had experiences with their AC1s, and they couldn't recommend them enough. They love it. It's a very simple system. There's no molly on it. It's just some Velcro, 2 plate bags, and then a cummerbund that I want to say can facilitate mags if I'm thinking about it correctly. Again, that's another viable option. It seems like it was I wouldn't say a clone, but it was heavily influenced by the Slickster. So they kind of do the same thing. I want to say the AC1 is a little bit more expensive than the Slickster. I want to say the Slickster starts at $150 and the AC1 is like $170, and then discounts for either one can drop drastically. But another slick carrier I wanted to recommend is the UARM Protection Weightless Plate Carrier. All right, that thing is $107, and if you just are running actual hard plates, it's like, mesh leggings holding this thing up, right? And I'm not saying that as in it's a really crappy material that's holding it up. There's just not a lot of it. Its sole purpose is to just hold plates against your body. You want to talk about slimming down how much material you have on your person? That's it right there. Again, I had that. I really like that plate carrier. On the flip side, if I wanted to clip in a placard or anything, I couldn't. It's just holding these plates up. That's all its intended purpose is to do. All right, getting into the knife side of things, right? Because like something like this, you may need a knife. I'm not saying you're going full Jason Bourne, John Wick, whatever the fuck. But it's always nice to have something that you can depend on. It's a multi-use tool. The first one I'm going to recommend, which is actually, this recommendation is coming from, again, the artist from Task Force Doomer, is the Black Triangle series of knives. Black Triangle makes really cool, I want to say they're polycarbonate or some type of plastic, hard plastic, whatever the fuck it is. It's 100% non-metal knives. A whole line of non-metal knives. The purpose of this is to be able to carry it discreetly, carry it, I guess you'd say, covertly, and be able to maybe pass through a metal detector if, you know, the end of the world has happened and whatever government or people have set it up so you can go in and out of these zones if you need to do that, whatever it is. Again, this isn't some spy shit, but having something that isn't being able to be picked up by a metal detector is nice for your personal protection. And I think these are really cool. The artist loves his, but again, that non-metal aspect of it, even with the sheath and the lanyard, nothing. Like, it's not being detected by shit. The pricing on these go anywhere from $75 to $125. The $75 end is more their blem sale, and I think they just sold out of shit, so good luck on that one. Then to the ones that I've personally used, the SOG G10, super cool knife. It's coming in right around $45. It's a fixed blade knife, which is really nice. It's full tang, and I want to say it comes with the sheath as well. So you have that option. The Cricut Squid, super cool knife. I had that for a little bit. That's like $30. They usually come decently sharp. Sharpen it on your own. That's another folding blade. Yeah, simple. I mean, it's a fucking knife. Like, I really don't need to bore you to death with it. I think the Cricut series of knives are built extremely well and extremely durable, no matter their price range. I've seen some of their smaller spear tip ones. I've seen people use them for the stupidest shit, prying stuff open, and they have worked quite a while. I haven't seen a tip break on them yet. And then the one I've personally carried for the last 11 years now is going to be the Cricut M21 14 SFG spear point. Say when it came out, it cost me like $140. Now I check their website, you're getting them for about $90. Not a Tonto blade, right? It is curved. They call it, again, their spear point. That thing has lasted me forever. I didn't know what glue they used to set the screws in there, whether it's red Loctite or whatever it is. I've never had to screw back out of it. I've never had to get gunked up with so much sand that I couldn't open it. It's lasted forever, and I've honestly probably sharpened it like 6 times, and I think I do need to sharpen it now. But I've never had it break, and I've never had it not be able to cut something. So if you take any recommendation you want for a metal knife, it's going to be that one. Now on to being able to defend yourself outside of those knives. You're going to want a pistol. All right, I'm going to recommend 3 pistols to you. Technically like 30 and then an extra 2. But pistols you're going to want to carry. I'm going to recommend this every time because I've tried as many pistols as I think I could. I probably shot and purchased more pistols than the average person. What I would go with is the Glock 19, the Glock 17, which everyone knows and loves, the 47, which is just the 17 again with like a little bit of the frame cut off, and then the 45, which is a mixture of a Glock 19 slide with a Glock 17 frame. Carry a pistol that you can hold a good amount of rounds with if you need to return fire, whatever the case is. Glock is really good at that. The 19 series of stuff is going to carry about 15 rounds. You get the base plates. You can add anywhere from +1 to +5. It's the pistol I continuously go back to. If I sell it off and I buy some new cool pistol, I deck it out, I go right back to a Glock after, anywhere from 3 months to I think the longest I've been without a Glock was a year. The next is going to be that SIG-X macro. You have the SIG-X macro and then the comp, and I think I'll recommend the comp on this one. The macro comp is really cool because you do have a little bit of a smaller barrel. It's got a little bit of a smaller frame and pistol grip width, but it still holds 17 rounds and it has a built-in compensator in it, so you're shooting a little flatter. Super cool pistol. They're right around like that $700 to $800 mark depending on where you buy it. If you buy it used, you can probably get it for $400 or $500. But a super cool pistol. The aftermarket support for it's becoming greater, I'd say. Not as great as Glocks will be. I don't think anyone company in the world is going to have as much aftermarket support as a Glock will when it comes to pistols, at least. And then the last one I'll recommend is the CZP09. I loved my CZP09. That thing was really fucking cool. Again, I love Glocks. I'm going to keep going back to Glocks. But that CZP09 was like the closest thing you could get to a Glock. Now, the only thing with that is going to be, again, that aftermarket support's it's not as good as the SIG series stuff, but magazines do tend to cost a little bit more than a Glock mag. So something for you to consider whenever you're looking for what kind of pistol you want to be running. All right, on to lights. All right, the first light I'm going to recommend if you have a shorter barrel like the Glock 19 or the macro series of pistols is going to be the Streamlight TLR7X. It's a 500 lumen light. It's got dual paddles. It's an all-around, it's a great pistol light. Lucas from T-Rex Arms has done a review on it. Pretty much everyone has at this point. I don't want to beat a dead horse with it, but super cool, super compact light. I had one for a little bit. Super cool light. I'd recommend it. It's a cheaper light, but it's going to do the job really well. The next light I recommend for pretty much everyone is going to be the Streamlight TLR1 HL. It's a 1,000 lumen light. It has a strobe function on it, and everywhere I looked, at least locally, I can find them for $125 to $150. Buying them online anywhere from $150 to $200. But that's a really cool light. It's compatible with a lot of the Surefire style holsters when it comes to that light pattern or that light width. I absolutely loved that light when I had it. And you know, it's a great light. It lasted me for probably 50,000 rounds through different pistols. The last light I'll talk about is the Surefire X300 UAB Turbo, whatever the case is. Those go used. I haven't seen one less than like 180, and then new, they're right around that $300 mark. That has been the staple of what a pistol light should be for the longest time. They last through everything, every component of the military. If they're ordering a pistol light, they're ordering the X300 just because Surefire has that contract, but it also fucking works. And then everyone and their mom in the civilian world has purchased one at one point or another. You're gonna need a holster for your pistol, right? 3 holsters I do recommend. The first one is gonna be Bravo Concealment. Bravo Concealment makes a wide range of pistol manufacturers that they've made holsters for, as well as most of their holsters come light compatible, or you at least have that option to make it light compatible. But their holsters usually start for $50, and a lot of them, say if not most of them, are already optics cut as well. If you want to run an optic, which I want to get into that in a separate video. But again, having that light compatibility is nice, and for the price point of $50 for a Glock 17 one with a Surefire X300 pattern light, I think that's a pretty good steal. The next one is the Priority 1 holsters. They're kind of similar to the Bravo Concealment in every aspect except for Bravo Concealment doesn't close off the end of their light, and Priority 1 does. Priority 1's holster, super nice. I do like the wings or the belt clips on that a lot better. Forces your pistol to sit a lot lower when you're appendix carrying or doing a 4 o'clock. But that one's coming in again right at the same price point. It's $60, but almost the same thing. Just, I think, better belt clips. And then the last one's going to be the T-Rex Arms Raptor or their sidecar, which I know the sidecar more than I do the Raptor. Sidecar is super cool because you have your pistol and then you have any slew of accessories you want after that. Whether you want to run an extra rifle mag, handcuffs, pepper spray, a taser, extra pistol magazines, a Baofeng, whatever you want, they have that. And I want to just say they made it open source to where you can just 3D print whatever the fuck you want for that sort of linkage to get those two pieces of that holster to come together. Those are cool. Those start anywhere from $80 to $100, and they have a billion different camo patterns. You can customize damn near everything on those. So if that's something you want to look into, by all means, T-Rex Arms Sidecar, I would heavily recommend that. In the last video, we talked about chest rigs, and I put a bunch in there at different price points and different use points, but a lot of it was a more or less overt style of chest rigs. So these ones I'm going to recommend, obviously, in the theme of the video, covert chest rig. So the one I'd probably recommend more than anything is going to be the Unobtainium Gear Dank Robber, just for the simple sake of it's pretty much all elastic, the same material that the Blue Force Gear 10-speed pouches are made out of. It's just going to hold those magazines. But the nice thing about the Dank Robber is you can put, if you have a flashbang, you can put a tourniquet in there, radio, still have room for magazines, whether it's rifle or pistol. The only thing I say about it, which we talked about kind of in the podcast, it doesn't have straps. You do need to buy those. That one is coming in at the $90 mark. The next chest rig is going to be the Arctis M673. That's coming in at $80. Kind of the same as that Unobtainium Gear Dank Robber. This one's more dedicated to just holding magazines, but it comes with straps. Made almost out of the same material, same design pattern, not as minimalist when it comes to how much nylon you have on you, but it's still an elastic system. It's still going to be super tight to your body, and it's still just going to hold your magazines. It's going to do what you need to covertly. And the last one I'll talk about is the Eagle Industries Low Pro chest rig. That's going to be more or less a Molly chest rig that has mag pouches built into it, where you can just run the magazines if that's all you need to do, or if you need to kind of scale up or scale down, depending on what you're wearing, right? You absolutely can do that. But again, the whole point of this is covert. So again, just an option for you. It is the most expensive option, but having that ability to add to instead of take away, I think it is a good option to at least recommend. Bags, the 2 straps are better than 1, right? I want to be able to run with it, cinch it down, do whatever. You want to have 2 straps. Something you need to take into consideration is going to be the height and the width, plus the weight capacity of that backpack. I don't want to buy something and then it be, the size of one of those fucking Hello Kitty backpacks. I also don't want a full rucksack, right? Again, covertly trying to move around. So I'm going to start looking for something that, one, is going to be in a non-fluorescent color, right? And then a more common color, so black, blue, red, and green. But I'm also going to want to look at something that might be a little more known, or at least look like a fucking backpack, right? So the look like a backpack part, is going to be, for me, my recommendation, because I had one and I liked it, the LBT 14 liter day pack. That comes in at $90. You can look at it right there. It looks pretty cool. Looks like a generic backpack, and they have it in a few different colors. The other side of it, going into the normal looking side of shit, right, is that JanSport backpack, and I'll put up, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 pictures here. Pick and choose, right? It's a fucking backpack. Just don't look like the 511 tactical whatever the fuck guy with 38 patches that says fucking retard meter on it. Have something that looks like you might be a college student or you might be going for a hike. Those are my 2 backpack recommendations. Just go to fucking Walmart or whatever store you can buy clothes and school materials at and just look. Just figure out what works for you. And then in the backpack, all right, we've gone over packs like 6 different times at this point, right, with our long range pack, civil unrest loadout or civilian response loadout. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that one. Biggest things with this are going to be water, some sort of protein or power bar, because again, I'm not trying to bulk this thing out with a ton of shit. And it's going to sound funny because the next thing I'm going to recommend is you have a broken down AR or something, maybe a pistol caliber carbine, whatever the case is, right? But a 10.5 all the way up to a 12.5 AR, depending on what size backpack you have. Having that ability to engage at a longer distance to sustain a fight a lot more outside of just your pistol is going to be nice, right? Again, we talked about it in a few videos. Your pistol is just a way to fight to your rifle. So if something is to happen and I need to return contact, I can engage with my pistol. I can drop my backpack down. And then if I'm not wearing that chest rig under my clothing, I can pull it out of my pack, maybe clip it in, and then I can piece that AR together and I can get back into a fight. Having that AR in there, it's going to take up some space, right? Depending on how you break it down or if you have a locked tactical folder, whatever it is. The other part of it's going to be having that chest rig, so minimalizing the rest of it where it comes to food and water. You're not going to want to over encumber yourself with how much covert shit you have on you. And again, that whole point of being covert, I want to be kind of light. I want to be unnoticed. So if I'm walking around and my backpack is 55 pounds and, you know, as I'm walking, that thing is not bouncing with my body, I'm going to stick out. So as long as I have that AR chest rig and the minimal thing is to kind of do some maybe day or 2 maneuvers, that's what I'm going to shoot for. And again, you can go back into the other videos you published, pick and choose information from which one, and then make a decision from there. Going into the medical aspect of things, if I'm carrying a backpack, I'm going to want to carry all of my medical in whatever the most outboard pocket or pouch is going to be, right? So that JanSport, you have your main compartment, and then you have that smaller little pocket in the front. I'm going to want to stuff my medical in there. Medical for this, right, just a quick IFAK is going to be a tourniquet, chest seals, gauze, super glue, tape, Band-Aids, and one thing the artist brought up was a flask size amount of vodka. Just something that if something happens, you need to patch yourself up or kind of make your way through it. Can alleviate some of that pain if you don't have instant access to medication and you need to use it as a really quick Band-Aid to move on. And if you don't want to carry all of that shit just in your pack as well, right? Maybe your pack, that front pouch isn't going out far enough or it looks like it's sticking out too much. You can get a fanny pack, right? A Vans fanny pack, anything from Walmart. They have their like hiking series of fanny packs, which are cool. They're like $10. But you know, something again that's not going to scream, I've got a gun, fucking look at me, right? The clothing you're going to want to wear needs to be common to your area. If I'm moving through South Central LA, I'm probably not going to be wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt and, you know, some Chubby's shorts and some flip-flops. I'm going to want to have something that's matching my environment that I'm moving into. And again, that's why I put this last. Depending on the weather and the environment, you're going to want to wear a few things, right? Or choose at least one of these things. So for your outer, for me, I choose a windbreaker almost every single time just because, one, it's pretty windy anywhere I've been to, right? Or the wind can pick up, but it doesn't stick out. The other nice part about it is windbreakers, the material they're made out of, right? It's not soft, so it's not really sticking to or easily showing what you might be having on you, whether it's that plate carrier or even just you printing from your holster being appendixed. But it does help break up, you know, kind of your silhouette and the straight lines that might be on your body. The next one's going to be jackets, right? A jacket's a jacket. Just make sure you're not picking something that, again, is super obnoxious and is tight fitting. And then that kind of goes into the next part of like, if it's too hot for either one of those options, a jersey will do just fine, right? You can get, you know, most jerseys are oversized to begin with anyway, so it's not really going to stick out too much. And, you know, this is under the assumption that you're wearing a shirt under all this. So I don't know, probably should think about that, what color shirt's going to kind of match with that. Again, not sticking out too much. Figuring out, looking in the mirror, you know, buttoning it up or zipping it up to a certain point where it's not pulling because that plate carrier is being pushed out, or if you're just running a chest rig, whatever. I recommend buying a 1 to 2 sizes larger than you normally would. And I constantly go back to the windbreaker for this just because the elastic around the waist and then around my wrists, it looks normal. It's not just completely saggy. And you know, when your girl puts on your t-shirt and it looks ginormous, it's not that. It looks like it fits and you're just wearing, you know, a little baggier clothes. For bottom wear attire, right? Jeans, right? Jeans are a staple of American history. They're durable. They last depending on who you buy. I personally buy Levi's and I've never had an issue with them. Understanding jeans are great, but they do have that limit of mobility. And that's where I kind of go into the next part, which is some sort of neutral colored golf pants, right? Golf pants are really cool. I've got a few pairs myself. I don't like to play golf. I just think they're nice. They breathe a lot better than jeans do. They're usually made out of a material that's a lot more stretchy.
These are my recreation clothes.
You can do a lot more. Maybe get into the prone, do some weird stuff.
They may have the appearance of riches.
But again, with that, it's going to be thinner. That stretchy material is going to be less durable than the jean material. So that's something for you to decide. For shoes, I'm going to recommend first is going to be Vans or Converse because they are the most widely worn shoe in the country. They also come in at a good price point of $40 to $80. And people are going to complain about this in the comments, or at least I think they will, where, oh, they're not good for running. And I have run probably 6 miles in my Vans just because I could. And I wasn't having insane problems, right? Understanding what your shoe is going to do for you, understanding that ankle support, right? Whether it's, you know, low top and you have none or high top and you do, but also understanding what insoles you're wearing. But those shoes aren't going to pop out. Now, if you're wearing like the MTEs or like some Sup Def Warm and Fuzzy collab where it's, you know, it's got a camouflage pattern on that you can't normally buy, that's going to stick out. The other side of that is Altimas. And I'm only going to recommend like the black Altimas just because they look like Vans or Converse or had a weird fuck child, but they work really well, really good ankle support. You can hike in them and you can run in them, do whatever you want, but those are the $80 to $120 range. And the other thing is just regular sneakers and running shoes. You can absolutely go with those. Those are also going to be widely used. If I'm putting on a running shoe, guess what? I probably can run in it, but should I want to hike in it? Probably not. So again, just where you're at, is it going to matter? Is it going to hinder your movement ability or your ability at all to just get away from a problem? So just a lot of things to consider. And the last thing is going to be what you're wearing to kind of mask your identity, right? The whole point is to not really be easily seen or at least easily noticeable. You kind of want to be someone that someone can look at and just forget, kind of like a lot of your dads.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
But I'm going to want to wear either a hat and beanie, again, depending on the time of the year, right? Hat and beanie is going to hide a majority of your hair, right? You can see my hair in this video right now. But in a quick pass through, it might be harder for someone to recognize, hey, that's exactly who I thought it was, or okay, I picked up on what that guy's hair color was. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is that Clark Kent effect where you put on glasses, right? If I pair a hat and glasses, a lot of the times people aren't gonna recognize you unless they're used to seeing you all the time. They see you in this sort of stuff, right? But if someone sees your bare face, you put those things on, they're not really going to be able to easily identify you. The other thing too is if you have the option to do it, whether it's a mustache or a beard, grow it out, right? Because if at any point in time you're having to run this covert loadout and something is to happen where you get spotted or you're seen or whatever the case is and you have that facial hair, super easy to shave it off, maybe trim up your hair a little bit, change out the hat and glasses you're wearing, and now you're an entirely different person, you know, if you ever bump into that entity again. So it's just easy ways to kind of break up your pattern of what you look like and things that you normally do. So again, if I'm seen, I can shave all this shit off. I'm probably not going to be noticed again unless I get to know that person. But that concludes the video on this. Again, I tried to keep it as not rapid fire as possible, but just trying to make sure that it's a shorter video just because, again, this topic has been like widely discussed. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it because I think this is a little more realistic than what some of the people are running out there right now. But again, at the same time, this scenario, you might never need it. So it really just depends if this is something that you think is applicable for your situation. If you need to get out of a city hastily, if something is to happen, whether it's power grid shutting down or EMP or, you know, China invading or Kamala getting elected. You have all these different options that, hey, I can get the fuck out of here. But that does end it for the covert loadout. Next week's video is going to be on overt loadouts. So again, thank you for sticking it through this long, and I appreciate you watching. And again, thank you for the 350 subscribers. I really do appreciate you guys, putting forth effort into watching this. It's been shared a lot, which is awesome. So again, thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for the people who are supporting this channel and who have supported it since day one.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
Closing comments, get in shape mentally and physically. Don't let yourself down. Don't be a liability. And take care of your family.